Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your journey. And certainly I want to thank you for being on this journey. Whether you've been on it for a while, whether you're just beginning, whether you're starting to ask questions, wherever you are, you're on this journey. And I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm so happy that you've allowed me to come alongside you. If this podcast is helpful, please put it out there. Share it out there on your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these episodes. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, follow us, give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review tells the platform people are listening, and you get a notification every time a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, as always, GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website, GraceLifeCoaching.com. That's where you can get a hold of me. It's got all my contact information. Please reach out. I would love to see what I can do. I'd love to see if I can come alongside you. If you have any questions, conversations, you want to enter into something, you're just not sure, please reach out to me. GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to see if I can help come alongside in part of this journey for you. We've been in this series of showing up for ourselves. You know, we show up for others, we give our all for others, but oftentimes that leaves us drained and empty. We've looked at what it really means to show up. We've talked about breaking the cycle of starting and stopping and building trust in yourself. Now, today I want to dig into something we just got out of, really, actually, but it's important because I want to try to reframe it in what it means to show up, what it means to show up for you, and that's looking at discipline over motivation. You know, a lot of us think that motivation is what we need. I just need to be motivated. I need to be motivated to work out. I need to be motivated to change. I just need to get motivated again. Have you ever said that? You know, maybe you were, on a good workout program or a good eating program, and you kind of fell off. You're like, I just need to be motivated again. I just need to get back into that motivation. You know, like somehow drawing back into something that was there. Or maybe you've said, I just don't feel like it today. I just don't feel like working out today. I don't feel like writing today. I don't feel like eating good today. Or I'll start when I'm in the right mindset or when the time is right. You know, I was a smoker for a long time, and I knew I needed to quit, and I wanted to quit, but I kept telling myself, you know, I'll quit when the time is right. I'll quit when I'm motivated to quit, and I never did. Well, I did quit, but it wasn't because the time was right. It was because it was just time. You know, so when we look at motivation as our lead, it really is difficult because motivation is not the solution. In fact, relying on motivation might be the very thing holding you back. I want to talk about why that is. You know, let's be honest, motivation feels good. It really, truly does. When we're motivated, we have energy, we feel focused, we want to take action. And in those moments, everything feels easy. Everything feels like it's just pushing forward and doing it. But here's the problem. Here's the struggle. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. Motivation is influenced by your mood. It's influenced by your energy. It's influenced by your environment. It's influenced by your circumstances. It's influenced by your emotions. And if your progress depends on motivation, your progress will be inconsistent. Because think about it, your moods ebb and flow, your energy rises and falls, your environment changes, your circumstances come and go. So if you're looking to move and grow based on something that is dependent on those things, if you're looking for motivation and you want your motivation to be dependent on those things, you're not really showing up for yourself. What you're doing is showing up for those things. And that's where motivation falters. Because if you're working on motivation, you won't always feel like showing up. Some days you'll be tired. Some days you'll be distracted. Some days you just won't want to. And you know what? That's normal. That is a normal, progressive piece of life. And what can happen is when those experiences happen, we shame ourselves. I'm just not as motivated today. But the issue isn't that motivation fades. The issue is believing you need to take action based on your motivation. That's the thing. We don't want to just take action based on our motivation. Motivation is not the thing that we constantly take action on. It may be the beginning. It may be the thing that sparks the fire. But like any good fire, it starts with tinder and sticks, but you need real logs in order for it to burn. Motivation may start the fire, but if you want to keep showing up for yourself, you can't keep showing up based on motivation, because your motivation is going to be inconsistent. Your progress will be inconsistent, because there will be days that you're tired, and there will be days that you're distracted, and there will be days that you just plain don't want to. Now, hear me when I say this. There's a difference between not wanting to and not being able to. I mean, if you set, I'm going to go to the gym every day. And you wake up in the morning, you're like, I just don't want to. Okay, that's not a good enough excuse. But if you wake up in the morning and go, I feel bad. I've got the flu. I hurt my knee. That's a whole different thing. My body is telling me I can't is different than I just don't want to. I don't want to. When we look at motivation as our drive, it will be inconsistent, because there are days where we just won't want to. When we will feel tired or distracted or emotionally drained or mentally exhausted. But when we show up for ourselves, we don't allow those things to win the day. If we're going to take a mental health day, we choose it. If we're going to take a rest day from the gym, we choose it. We don't do that because we just don't feel like it. And that's really where we need to move from motivation to, you guessed it, discipline. We talked a lot about discipline in the last series, and it's going to come back again, because discipline is so important when we talk about showing up for ourselves. Motivation isn't reliable, but discipline is. So that's the reframe for us, my friends. We want to make sure that we don't see discipline as punishment. A lot of people hear the word discipline and they think punishment, like I just took a cookie before dinner and I'm getting disciplined. That's not what it is. It's not forcing yourself into misery. Discipline is a system. It's deciding in advance what you're going to do and then doing it regardless of your emotional state, regardless of your motivation. Whether you're going to eat well, or whether you're going to work out, or whether you're going to write, or whether you're going to rest, discipline sets that up, okay? It's the decision in advance about what you're going to do, and then doing it regardless of how you feel. That's it. It removes the daily debate. We didn't talk about this a whole lot in the last series on discipline, but it's really important. It removes the daily debate, because most people lose before they even begin. They sit there thinking, should I do it now? Maybe I'll do it later. I'll start tomorrow. There's this debate inside of us daily. Should I start today? Should I start tomorrow? That back and forth. And it drains energy. Well, should I go to the gym today or shouldn't I go to the gym today? I'm going to go to the gym in the morning. No, I'll go to the gym in the afternoon. Should I eat well today or should today be my day that I'm going to eat poorly? That emotional debate, back and forth. It's draining. Discipline eliminates that. It replaces uncertainty with structure. I'm going to eat 3 healthy meals a day. I'm going to have a healthy breakfast, a healthy lunch, and a healthy dinner. And if I need snacks in between, I'm going to have healthy snacks. There's no debate. Should I have the chips, or should I have the popcorn, or should I have the Pop-Tart? No, there's no debate. Discipline removes that debate, that back and forth. And it takes that energy that you would use in dialoguing back and forth yourself and actually applies it to something important. It applies it to showing up for yourself. That's where discipline can really have a powerful impact on showing up daily, as it removes that daily debate. And I'm sure that you probably have those daily debates all the time. I know I do. I work very hard to get rid of them, but I still have those daily debates. What am I going to eat for lunch? What should I wear today? Should I do my workout in the morning? Should I do my workout in the afternoon? When should I record this podcast? Discipline takes all that away. It sets up a structure and replaces that uncertainty. It sets up a structure. This is what time it is. This is what it means to show up for myself. This is what I'm going to do. I really don't feel like eating salad for lunch today. Doesn't matter what you feel like. You're not eating with your emotions. You're eating with your body. You're eating the salad and moving on. The salad will taste just fine. It's fresh. It tastes good. You like salad. Eat it and move on. Discipline takes away that daily debate, and we spend a lot of energy debating ourselves every day. And so when we can remove that energy drain and apply it somewhere else, we can really start showing up for ourselves. Now, what we talked about before, it's true. There's a key. Discipline doesn't just show up one day. You don't just wake up and be disciplined. You build it through repetition, through structure, through small, consistent actions. A lot of what I've talked about throughout I think if there's a thread that is run through almost all of my podcast episodes so far, is the small, consistent actions done over a period of time. Discipline is not about doing big things occasionally. It's about doing small things consistently and showing up for yourself. Really, truly showing up for yourself is not just the big things. The big things are great. Spa days and massages and Reiki sessions and walks in the park. Those are awesome. I love those. And I really, really, truly encourage those. But most of the time, we show up for ourselves in small ways every day. In the things we eat, in the things we think, in the things we do, in the words we say. That's showing up for ourselves every day. And when we build those small things consistently, over time, those actions become automatic. They do. We embed them into our brains in such a way that they become automatic. Again, imagine what life would be like if you are so disciplined in your eating that you don't have to think about what you're going to eat. It's just planned out. It's planned out. Your week's planned out. You take 20 minutes to sit down and make a menu for the week, make a shopping list. You plan it out. What's for dinner tonight? That's what's on the list. That's what we're going to eat. And you move on. No debate. No daily energy, no back and forth. Do I want pizza? Do I want Mexican? Do I want Italian? This is what we have. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't stray from that, of course, particularly in special occasions, but on a day-to-day basis, taking away that energy of that daily debate, building those small, consistent things over and over again will ultimately lead to actions becoming automatic, and that automatic action leads to deeper showing up for yourself. It becomes easier to show up for yourself. So, of course, how do we do this? How do we make this happen? That sounds all well and good, and wow, that's awesome. How do I make that happen? I'm not a disciplined person. My life is chaotic. My life is crazy. Look, everybody's life is crazy and chaotic, and nobody's really a disciplined person. People don't grow up. People aren't born disciplined. They grow up disciplined. You learn discipline. It's not inherent. So how do you do it? How do you build discipline? Create a daily structure. Create a daily structure. And before you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do a daily structure, you probably already have a daily structure. It's just a little bit ebb and flow. You probably wake up around the same time, do the same things, create the same patterns. That's what we do as humans. You just haven't called it a daily structure. So now create a daily structure. Not sometime today, not when I get around to it. Create clear, defined times when things will get done, because structure removes uncertainty. Okay? So I want to write a little bit every day. So at 8:30, I reflect or I plan. Half hour before I go to work or 20 minutes before I go to work. Same time every morning, 7 o'clock, I have my coffee. 5 o'clock, I get out of bed. 5:30, I make the bed. Whatever your structure is. And for me, getting out of bed at 5 o'clock is a really structural point. That's when my day begins and I start. And I have a routine. About the first hour of my day is pretty structured and routine. I know exactly what I'm going to do on the days that I'm doing it. Create a daily structure. I would encourage you to do this. Pay attention to what you're doing already. I would bet if you took a notepad and you look at your routine for the day and you wrote down the times that you're doing these things, you're probably doing them about the same time every day. Getting out of bed, getting dressed, getting your shower, getting your coffee, getting your kids on the bus. Those are all structured. You're just not seeing them as a structure. So create that daily structure. This is what happens at this time every day. Now, it doesn't need to be rigid and it doesn't need to feel like we're putting life in a box. But what we're doing is we're creating a structure that allows you to show up. You know what's going to happen next. That is the key, because then you can show up for yourself. You don't have to spend that time in that back and forth. What happens next? I know what's happening next. I know what's happening now. It's 8:15. The bus shows up in 15 minutes. Lunch is packed, shoes on, coats on. That's what happens right now. Every day. That's what happens right now. Create that daily structure. You can do it at work. When do I get the best work done? For me, I get the best work done as soon as I come in the morning, because that's when my brain is firing the hardest. I get the most work done first time I come in the morning. Create a daily structure. Daily structures are important because that can help create discipline and stay within the structure. We talked about this before. Use environmental design. Use your environment to make it easier to show up. Set yourself up in advance. Choose your work clothes the night before. You're getting ready to go to bed, hang your work clothes out, what you're going to wear the night before. So when you wake up in the morning, there's your outfit. You don't have to spend 20 minutes standing there in your closet looking at what you're going to wear. Clear your workspace. A cluttered workspace, it really causes a lot of fracture in the mind. Clear your workspace. A nice clear workspace allows you to focus. Remove distractions. Put your phone on airplane mode. Stick it in the drawer in the kitchen. Clear your distractions. Use your environment to create your structure and your discipline, because it's easier to start, the more likely you are to follow through. So if you make it easier to start, more likely you're going to follow through. So when you're using an environment that is easier to start in, so when you show up to work in the morning, you sit down at your desk, you're not looking at stacks of papers that you have to go through from the day before. You're ready to rock and roll. Or if you have your work clothes out the night before, when it's time to get ready for work, your environment's set up. It's easier to follow through when you have an easier start. Okay, so have it ready to go. Now, that doesn't mean you have to wear it. Maybe you wake up in the morning and go, you know what, blues, I'm not really feeling blue today. I'm feeling more pink. Okay, then get pink. But if you start to create your mind the night before, say, this is what I'm going to wear to work tomorrow. Boom, there it is. That's what you're wearing. All good. Okay, so use your environment to create your daily routines. Another one is habit stacking. I've talked about habit stacking before. We don't build habits in isolation. The best way to build habits is to attach them to something we're already doing. So you're already having your morning coffee, right? If you want to start writing or jotting down or journaling, journal while you're having your morning coffee, okay? Or write while you're having your morning coffee. If you want to work out, well, then maybe do some squats while you're folding the laundry. Or do some core, do some bridges, or some glute bridges while you're watching television. Okay, you're already doing something. You can show up for yourself by doing something else while you're doing that something. If you have the television on in the evening and you're watching, Hallmark Christmas movies. I love Hallmark Christmas movies. They're one of my favorite things to watch. I could sit on the couch and I could scroll my phone while watching Hallmark Christmas movies, or I could do some simple stretches. I could do some simple calisthenics. I could do some squats or some lunges, or maybe I could get a little free weight and do some curls, all right? Or use what you're already doing to add something else. It's called habit stacking. If you want to do affirmations, if you want to retrain how you talk to yourself, hang an affirmation on the bathroom mirror while you're brushing your teeth. Put it on a sticky note. I am a good person, or I'm going to show up for myself today. Hang it on the mirror, and while you're brushing your teeth, read that affirmation. Habit stacking. You're already doing something. Can you add something else to show up for yourself while you're already doing it? Okay? And the last thing I want to mention is focus on the start, not the finish. Focus on the start, not the finish. That kind of sounds odd, right? Most of the time, when we're looking at a difficult thing to do, if we invest 5 minutes to start, we're going to finish it. You ever have those reports that you have to write? I'm not a real big report writing fan. I find reports to be tedious and monotonous. And so really my struggle is not writing my reports. My struggle is starting my reports. But once I start, it flows. Okay, it's that part of my brain that says, oh my gosh, I have to write this 3-page report. No, because my brain's like, I don't want to write a 3-page report. That's ridiculous. But if I focus on starting it, I'm just going to start this report. All right, I'm going to put 5 minutes into it. Well, what happens is it starts flowing and it all comes out and the report is done. We can look at the whole thing and become overwhelmed. So focus on starting, not finishing. Don't focus on the whole thing. Focus on the beginning, not the entire task. Don't focus on the full workout. Just focus on going to the gym. Don't focus on the 5 miles of running. Focus on the first step. When we focus on the first step, then it starts to build momentum. And that momentum then starts to grow. You just need to begin. Once you start, momentum takes over. And you begin. And then you work. And then you finish. That's usually how it works. So focus on starting, not finishing. Because if I sit in my chair and I think, gosh, I have to work out an hour a day, I'm going to be overwhelmed with that. But if I say, I just have to show up for myself. I just have to show up at the gym. And I show up at the gym and I start working out and an hour is gone. And I've worked out for an hour. So focus on starting, not finishing. So here's a shift I want you to really try to incorporate. Stop asking how I feel today, okay? Because your feelings ebb and flow. Some days you feel great, some days you don't. Stop asking how I feel today. Because when you identify with what you feel, you're not always going to show up. Start identifying with, I'll show up no matter what. So stop asking, how do I feel today? And start asking, what do I do today? What do I do today? What's my day today? I show up no matter what. I'm going to show up for me no matter what. Now, again, there's that caveat. If your body is saying we ain't showing up today because we're sick or we're hurt, that's a whole different scenario. But most of us don't struggle with that. Most of us struggle with that emotional blah. I'm not going to show up for myself today. Today is just a day that I feel down. You know what? No. What do I do today? Not what do I feel today. What do I do today? I show up no matter what. I show up for myself no matter what. Your actions in that become consistent, and consistency creates results. That's how you show up for you. Not in how I feel, but what do I do today? So pick one thing, one action. Do it the same time every day. Or look at one action and see if you're already doing it at the same time every day. Because I would imagine there's probably a lot of action that you already are. That structure is probably already there. You just need to identify it. So find that one action. Are you doing it every day? If you are, then identify it and say, this is when I'm going to do it. When do you drink your coffee? When do you take your break? When do you text your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your kids or your parents? Every day. Start doing it every day. No negotiations, no emotional decision making. Show up. I'm going to lay my clothes out the night before. Every day. Start doing it. No negotiation, no decision making, just structure. Because discipline's not built in the big moments, my friend. It's built in the small, repetitive ones. And that's how we show up. We begin to show up in the small ways, and it just grows. That momentum builds, and that's what we want. Because when we can show up for ourselves in the small things, then we can start looking at showing up for ourselves in the big things. Remember, that's how we build that trust. We build that trust and say, I said I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it. If we do it in those small things, then we can start looking at the bigger things, the more life-changing things. You know, I want to lose weight, but every time I've done it before, I've never done it. But you know what? I'm showing up for myself. See these results? I can show up for myself in the big things. I can show up for myself in saving money. I can show up for myself in building relationships. Start with the small, because motivation's going to come and go, but discipline stays. Discipline creates momentum. Momentum creates consistency. Consistency creates results, and that's what we're looking for, isn't it? That's what I got for you for today, my friends. I hope it's helpful. If it is, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. If you're on one of the listening platforms, then follow us, and you'll get notification of a new episode coming out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is a website. At Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.